I don't understand. It's totally understandable.
Hey, I have to call you. I'm sitting right this way. Did you see that you put ECA instead of LGA? Did you see that? Yeah. Correct. Correct. Yeah. You mean the Santa Barbara ones? Okay. Tuesday the 22nd. Correct. Yep. That was on like the 18th or the 19th, or the 19th. I could do either one, Friday or Saturday. And that I'm flying. Correct. DCA to Market. Exactly. But I can Uber for part of it. If I have to. Or if I can just go to Boston. Right. Right. Yeah. Okay, and then, right. Right, right. And the Santa Barbara ones, you just found some really good ones. You know, I did both ways, so if you took those of it. Yeah, no, that's fine. You should send me the flights that you found, because I need to share them with them. Correct. That was the United one, where I'm Boston to Santa Barbara, then Santa Barbara to DC. On the red eye. Correct. It's actually, well, no, it's not. It's not. It's going to Santa Barbara and coming back on LAX to DC. Well, I think to get there we have to from Boston. But coming back, we don't have to do it next week because I'm going from LAX. Right, 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 right. And that's LAX to DC, so it's like a open, it's like very open shot. Yeah. No, I guess it's just open. Yeah. All right, yeah, send me those.
Or something.
Correct, correct, correct.
Hi.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah, right, yeah.
Okay.
That's great.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
Brilliant, thanks. 10 minutes.
10?
10 minutes.
10?
I told them that everybody out here was going to eat the coolers. They said that they'll
God, it's 9 minutes.
maybe not.
briefing's gonna go on longer than normal. What?
I'll be back in 5 minutes. They're starting.
But no, they were little brothers, and I had my brothers too, so it's like, that's cool. Yeah. My brother. Yes. And it looks exactly like a female version, a male version. As you can see. With, yeah, and more Indian, but you can tell that they're siblings. Nobody can mistake us for anything else. Yeah. It's so weird. We should feel bad for them. It's like our parents played in genetic lottery twice in the hospital. They're very kind. I thought I saw that actually a little earlier. Yes, I don't know, but I'll keep an eye out for it. Oh, no. I have an umbrella in my backpack. Can I grab it?
Sorry, Joe.
It is.
Sorry. Yeah.
Good luck getting out of there. You get banding.
I had the Unite 3 on. Which one?
The whole thing. Because you should have told me to go over there, now it's too late.
So, you stand there?
What?
You stand there?
Like exactly where they would come out?
Yeah. Cell phones. You guys are dressed the same, like you guys have
These are my good, like, riding in the rain pants.
Oh, yeah, yeah. There was a day, Nash, blue shirt with dark blue pants. We're like, what the hell's happening here? At the same time. classic. So you remove nothing more changes. No. Let's get to know things here in the church. Leave the go.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
I'm going to be really quick here. I have the National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, to talk about the latest in the Middle East, so I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you, Corinne, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to provide a brief report on the Iranian ballistic missile attack against Israel that occurred earlier today. I can take just a few questions because this is an ongoing situation and I need to get back to my desk. Today, Iran launched nearly 200 ballistic missiles towards targets in Israel. The United States military coordinated closely with the Israeli Defense Forces to help defend Israel against this attack. U.S. naval destroyers joined Israeli air defense units in firing interceptors to shoot down inbound missiles. President Biden and Vice President Harris monitored the attack and the response from the White House Situation Room, joined in person and remotely by their national security team. We are still working with the IDF and the authorities in Israel to assess the impact of the attack. But at this time, and I stress at this time, we do not know of any deaths in Israel. We are tracking the reported death of a Palestinian civilian in Jericho in the West Bank. We do not know of any damage to aircraft or strategic military assets in Israel. In short, based on what we know at this point, this attack appears to have been defeated and ineffective. This was first and foremost the result of the professionalism of the IDF, but in no small part because of the skilled work of the U.S. military and meticulous joint planning in anticipation of the attack. We are also aware of reports of a terrorist attack in Jaffa that took the lives of a number of Israeli civilians and wounded several others today. Our condolences go out to the families of the victims and to the family of the Palestinian civilian in Jericho. Obviously, my update here is based on early reports, and we reserve the right to amend and adjust as necessary as we gather more information. The word fog of war was invented for a situation like this. This is a fluid situation. We will consult with the Israelis on next steps in terms of the response and how to deal with what Iran has just done, and we will continue to monitor for further threats and attacks from Iran and its proxies. We are particularly focused on protecting U.S. service members in the region. And with that, I'll take just a few questions. Yeah.
Thanks, Jake. Is the administration making any preparations to evacuate U.S. citizens from Lebanon or elsewhere in the region?
We have been very clear for some time now that U.S. citizens should avail themselves of commercial means to depart Lebanon, given everything that's going on. We have said that from this podium, from multiple podiums. We continue to say that, but we have not begun triggering a non-combatant emergency evacuation, a NEO, and do not have an intention to do so at this time. If that changes, we'll let you know. But we continue to reinforce the point. American citizens in Lebanon should follow the guidance from the State Department, which is to find civilian commercial means to depart, because in extremis, we may not be able to get them out safely. Yes.
Thanks, Jake. What is the U.S. view on whether Israel should retaliate, and what is your concern about this leading to a wider escalation of war in the region?
We've had some initial discussions with the Israelis in the aftermath of this at the military level and also at the White House to Prime Minister's office level. We'll continue those conversations in the hours ahead. I'm not going to prejudge or get ahead of anything. We want to have some deep consultations with the Israelis, and I'll have more to report to you after we get the opportunity for deeper discussions.
And escalation in the region?
Obviously, this is a significant escalation by Iran, a significant event, and it is equally significant that we were able to step up with Israel and create a situation in which no one was killed in this attack in Israel, so far as we know at this time. We are now going to look at what the appropriate next steps are to secure, first and foremost, American interests, and then to promote stability to the maximum extent possible as we go forward. Yeah.
Back in April, the president's message to Israel was to take the win when the U.S. and Israel were able to intercept the barrage of Iranian missiles. Is he recommending a similarly limited response this time?
I will not, from this podium, share the president's recommendations. He will have the opportunity to share them directly. We're going to have, as I said, ongoing consultations with the Israelis this afternoon, this evening. It is too early for me to tell you anything publicly in terms of our assessment or in terms of what our expectations are of the Israelis or the advice that we will give them.
So will he be speaking to Prime Minister Netanyahu today?
I don't have anything to announce from this podium, but I can tell you that he is tracking this minute by minute. We are very much deeply in touch with the Israelis, and insofar as we have calls to read out, we'll make sure to read them out with you. Just last question, then I'll turn it over.
Thank you, Jake. In April, after Iran struck Israel, the U.S. issued a number of sanctions as a consequence. This morning, the president said there would be severe consequences if Iran carried out this attack. What are those consequences, and are they more severe than sanctions?
Totally legitimate question, and that answer will come based on the conversations and consultations we have with our Israeli counterparts. It's too soon for me to stand before you today and give you an answer. What I can tell you is this. We are proud of the actions that we've taken alongside Israel to protect and defend Israel. We have made clear that there will be consequences, severe consequences for this attack, and we will work with Israel to make that the case. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Jake. Okay, on to the rest of the programming here. This morning, President Biden was briefed by his Homeland Security Advisor, Liz Sherwood Randall, on the latest impacts of Hurricane Helene, and this afternoon he will receive an interagency briefing on the Hurricane Helene response and recovery efforts. At the President's direction, the Biden-Harris administration continues to use every tool available to get assistance and resources to the communities that need them the most. Yesterday, the President approved a major disaster declaration for Georgia, which will unlock additional assistance to help those recovering. This is in addition to the major disaster declaration swiftly approved by the President following requests from North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida, as well as requests for emergency assistance across 7 states. Tomorrow, the President will travel to Raleigh, North Carolina, where he will visit the State Emergency Operations Center to meet with local officials and also first responders. And the Vice President will travel to Augusta, Georgia tomorrow, and will then head to North Carolina in the coming days. As of today, thousands of personnel from across the federal workforce are deployed and supporting state-led Hurricane Helene response efforts across the 6 affected states, including over 1,200 personnel in North Carolina. Still, there is more work to be done, and the Biden-Harris administration will be there for these communities every step of the way. Now, as you can see, we also have Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas.
Thank you, Corinne, and good afternoon. Before standing at the podium, I was at FEMA's National Operations Center being briefed by our personnel as well as state emergency personnel. I thought it very moving and very telling that North Carolina's Emergency Management Director described Hurricane Helene as catastrophic and noted the fact that numerous towns situated along the river had virtually disappeared, had been completely destroyed. In fact, Hurricane Helene is of an historic magnitude. This many states hit this hard. The wind field of the hurricane stretched 350 miles from its center. More than 100 fatalities have been reported, hundreds and hundreds of homes and businesses destroyed. Our hearts break for those who have lost loved ones, and we pray for the swift assistance and rescue of those who are currently missing. We are in different phases of a post-hurricane environment depending on the state and the location within the state. In some areas, we are still in search and recovery, search and rescue operations. In others, we are, in fact, in the response and recovery phase. I thought I would give you some of the latest statistics based on the briefing that I received. And I should say that these numbers are, as you can all well understand, quite dynamic and fluid. They change minute by minute and hour by hour. But just as devastating as the hurricane has been, the response of federal, state, and local authorities has been extraordinary. We have more than 2,000 federal personnel dedicated to this effort. On the ground, we have more than 1,200 urban search and rescue personnel. FEMA staff deployed, over 1,200. Corinne mentioned the major disaster declarations and the emergency declarations previously issued. I should note that in the 6 states most severely impacted. The emergency declarations were issued before the storm hit, and we had thousands of personnel dedicated there. We have delivered more than 2.6 million ready-to-eat meals and more than 1 million liters of water. At its peak, there were 5.1 million customers without power. We have reduced that amount, and not just the federal government in support of the state and local authorities, but working very closely with the power companies and the other utilities. We've reduced that number of customers without power by 3.8 million people. And so the operation is very, very significantly underway. We are working in support of our state and local partners. This is an all-of-government, frankly, all-of-community effort. And with that, I'll take some questions.
With regards to how many were unaccounted for, yesterday Liz said about 600 were unaccounted for. Do you have an updated number on that?
We do not have